drawings. But, so what I'm gonna do here in a minute is I'm gonna go ahead and draw on this plate. Like I said, bless you, like I said, if you're good on this, if you're good with your 3D, this is your assignment for the, week. You're free to go, that's it for today. Next week, and I'll probably put something in Blackboard because Erica already left. Next week you will be having a drawing test to where you come in and I say, all right, this is your test. You need to draw it. It's a 2D drawing test. So it's just a 2D plate shape or something like that. I don't even know. In fact, I don't even know what it's going to be. So don't ask me anything other than that. All you know is next week you're gonna have a test to see if you know how to use AutoCAD.
Yes, sir.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead. So any questions on this before I start drawing? All right, so what I'm gonna do is open up a blank AutoCAD drawing. Switch lights real quick. So I don't know if I've got one saved as this already or not, but what I'm gonna do, like I said, is I'm gonna do it doing the, I'm gonna do it using the press pull command. So let me go find my folder and open up my master drawing for this class. Have a good weekend, man. So here's my master drawing for this class. So I'm gonna do my save as, Control Shift S, put it over here in my drawings. This is gonna be my P19A file, yours. Remember, you need to save it with your last name and then the project name. So for the first one, I'm gonna just go into the, I've got it over here on this page. I'm gonna go into the rec, so everybody got a copy of this handout with the two parts on it?
Yes, sir.
Alright, so I'm gonna go into my rectangle command, REC and space bar. I'm gonna tell AutoCAD you're at that point, go 7 1/4 at 7.25, 7.25 and enter. So there is my rectangle. I'm gonna go ahead and move it over to 0, 0. So with F12 turned off, I can very easily, when AutoCAD says, where do you want to move this to, 0, 0, 0 and enter. And it jumps it right over there. So a lot of my 3D drafting that I do, sometimes I start exactly where it needs to be. A lot of times what I do is I start drawing, and then at some point I need to adhere to 0, 0. Sometimes it's after I've finished drawing the part that I say, okay, this is where I need to position it. So it's up to you how you start out. Like I said, when you do 3D projects, there's very likely multiple ways of doing it. All right, so there's the outside of my box, C and space bar. I'm gonna go to 0, 0, 0 with the circle. Has a radius of 0.5. I'm going to copy it. I'm gonna go straight up. I do not have a dimension there, do I? Let me check that. I don't have a dimension out to those holes. So let me see what I've got on that. So make note of this. Oh, there it was over here on this other page though. So technically it was on there, but. All right, so going back to it. I'm going to copy this object straight up 2 5/8. Straight to the left. 2 5/8, straight down. Straight over. And then I can go into my press pull command, which I don't have my 3D ribbon turned on. So I go into my press pull. I tell AutoCAD to, actually I can just do extrude, probably be easier for this part. Extrude these cylinders a height of 2 inches. Extrude this rectangle a height of 0.5. That didn't work, did it? Alright, let me try it again. Extrude circles a height of 2 inches. It's still in a 3D.
I think extrude just makes it like a shell. Because extrude was messing with mine too when I was trying to do last week's assignment.
You have to join everything.
I'm just trying to get back out of it. Alright, there we go. Alright, so now we're back to 2D. I'm gonna go back to my 3D. Now I think I did too much inside that extrude command. So I'm gonna select the circles. I think it was still in the extrude command when I picked the rectangle. I'm gonna tell it to extrude these a height of 2 inches. And then space bar back in, extrude this a height of 0.5. So there that is. The beauty of the extrude versus the press pull is with the extrude, there are no 2D shapes left over. It does incorporate the 2D shape into the final product. So there is Control S, there's my P19A. I'm gonna go ahead and stay where I'm at, do a P19B. You can see when I erase that one solid, there's nothing left over. Alright, so there's my 0, 0. For the second one, I'm gonna go circle, 0, 0, center. And that one is, so the small ones are 0.5 radius. Then I've got another one that's at 0, 0, that is 2-inch radius. I've got these 0.5 ones. I've got one of them straight up, 2 5/8. One of them to the left. If I still had my profile, I could have used it. One of them straight down, and one of them to the right. And then I've got another circle out here on each one of these that is 1-inch radius. Trim it out, mirror it. 0, 0 is my base point. Then I'm gonna mirror both of those. 0, 0 is my base point on a 45-degree angle. So now that I've got this, so now I can do my press pull. I can do each one of these areas 0.5. And this middle area is 1 inch thick. So the press pull worked really good on that one. I can union these solids together. Move them out of the way for a second. I'm just gonna move them straight to the right. I'll hit F8 and go straight to the right 5 inches. Now I can go through and easily erase all of these. Move it back 5 inches. Everything's good to go with that one. So all I was doing was getting rid of those 2D objects. Another way I could have done that was to roll that object up, look at it from this position, do a regular window just across the bottom, and then erase those 2D objects that way. So that's my P19B. Any questions about that one? Like I said, pretty basic 3D shapes, but multiple ways of drawing. You could have drawn both of them with 3D objects, cylinders, and then blocked on the first one. So now what I can do is I can go Control-Shift-C, 0, 0, 0 for my base point, this object right here to my clipboard. Now I can go back to P19A, which I just closed down, or did a save as, is this one. I can come over here, do my save as, call it P19A-B assembly. I can do Control V, 0, 0, 0.5 and enter, because I want to move it up ½ an inch in the Z direction. Now I've got that one sitting on there. Had I just went and said Control Shift V, 0, 0, 0, it would have been down there too low. I could have then went move, selected that object, moved it straight up in the Z direction, 0.5 and enter. Either way, still needs to be sitting on top of that object, not down into it. So if I go to wireframe, which is how I can go to check that, I can see that that top shape does not go down into that other shape. Any questions on this piece? All right, like I said, that's simple, but I want y'all to spend some time playing in 3D. Here is a little visual of your next thing that we're gonna do. So you're not doing it on this project, but I want to show y'all so that you can kind of practice it a little bit. You're more than welcome to, but remember, all you're turning in on this one is the 3D part. That's all I'm checking on this one. I'm not checking anything 2D. But on your next project that we're gonna do next week, so you're gonna have a test next week, I'm gonna give you your next project and give you a little bit of instruction on it, and then you'll start your drawing test. So what you're gonna do next week on your project, starting next week on your 3D projects, is then turn it into a 2D project. So this assignment right here would actually get emailed electronically because it's a 3D check, and then you would also have a printed copy. So everybody ready? Watch to see what I do to take this into a printed version. All right, so whenever we drew this, we took what I gave you that we assumed, or we took that to be the top view, which it was. So when I come over here on my view cube, remember we always need to have your WCS set right there, your world coordinate system. That is AutoCAD's coordinate system, 0, 0 in its real natural position. That's what 0, 0, 0 you need to be basing your drawing on, with WCS set right there. So this is our top view. We can look at our view cube and see that this is our top view. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say, well, I wanna put this on an 8.5 by 11 border and title block, and I want to print it out. Actually I'm gonna do it on 11 by 7, no, I'm gonna do it 8.5 by 11. I want to do 2 views, and that's it. Now I have 2 views in an ISO. So after I've drawn my part, we're still doing like we did off the sheet before. Control S to save my drawing was my next step. Next step was to select the border and title block, which this one is 8.5 by 11. Here's where it differs with a 3D project. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to erase my viewport. Remember that, erase your viewport. We're no longer looking through that window at something in model space. We're gonna be doing everything that we need to do right here on this page. You can switch layers if you want to. I usually stay in my main object layer. There are different things that you can set up layer-wise inside the base command. So what the base command does is it takes that 3D object that you've drawn and shows it in a 2D view. So when I select the base command, it expands. I've got 2 options, from model space, from inventor. So if you're creating a 2D drawing and you're using inventor, you can use your AutoCAD and your AutoCAD borders to put that object onto. So I come down here, I tell AutoCAD from model space, I'm going from AutoCAD's model space is where I'm pulling that 3D object, that 3D shape. So I say from model space, AutoCAD says, okay, this is the object that I found in model space. The standard view that comes in whenever you click that is going to be your front view. So before I left model space a while ago, I told y'all and showed y'all that based on the view cube, the top view was looking down on it. So had we went over to our view cube and rolled it up to our view cube said front, this is the view that we would have been looking at of that object. So AutoCAD says, where do you want the location of this view? Like I said, there's a lot of things you can change about it. You see a lot of options down there in your command line. Play with them, see a little bit about what they do. We're just going with the basic one now, so I'm just gonna come down here and tell AutoCAD, since I know this is my default front view that you're bringing in for me, I want it to be somewhere in this area, because I'm gonna be putting some dimensions possibly around it. I don't wanna put it right here, it's off my page. So we're thinking about things like that when we're placing this view. I want a front view, a top view, and then an isometric up here at this corner. So if I come over here and say, this is where I want to put my front view, AutoCAD says, okay, select an option. You don't have to go through and do any of these options. Once again, the base command works and flows right through it, just what you need to do right now. There's really no extras that you need to do right now. You're more than welcome to play around down there and see. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna take the default, which if you look down there in your command line, the default is exit. I'm gonna hit enter or spacebar and tell it I don't want to change any of those options, like I said the first time. So I hit spacebar, AutoCAD says, okay, where would you like to project views to? So the other view that you will be showing will be your top view. So I come straight up, you'll see AutoCAD doesn't let me go to the side. Orthographic views, by definition, line up vertically or horizontally with the other views. AutoCAD knows that, so it will not let you put that view a little bit to the left or the right. It'll let you go straight up and down. So I say, well, I'm gonna need some dimensions on this one too. So I wanna put it about right here. The reason we're not doing a right side view is it looks just like the front view. I'll go ahead and put it over here and you'll see when we get through, they look just alike, so there's no reason to draw it. So we can do any of our orthographic views just by dragging our cursor in that direction. I can do a bottom view, a top view, right side, left side. I could even spin it around and do a back side, but it would be off in space, I guess. But you can also do isometrics. So I can then bring my cursor up here to the corner where we normally do our isometrics. You can see that that view doesn't change based on my angle over here. It's going to be that isometric in any of these off vertical or horizontal directions. Bottom side of it down here, top side of it with these. So I'm gonna pull it over here for this isometric, this ISO right here, and pick that point. That's all the views I want, so I'm gonna go ahead and hit enter to complete my command. There is my 3D object in a 2D format. You can see that these two views look just alike, so I did not need that view. I can erase it very simply, just by clicking on it, picking E and spacebar. So here's the next thing that you're gonna need to do. This view up here, this isometric view, we do not show hidden lines in an ISO view. So what you're gonna need to do is move your cursor up there. You can see that view's lighting up. It is not a 3D object, it is a 2D projection of a 3D object. So if I single click on it, you can see that I've got some stuff that lights up right here. You can see that my ribbon changed. I've now got this drawing view tab because I selected that object that AutoCAD added to my ribbon up here. What I'm gonna do is pick edit view. You can see my menu changed a little bit again. I'm gonna select right here where it says hidden lines. I'm gonna expand this. You can see that you can click and pick different visual styles to show here. What we want with our isometric view is visible lines only. So when I click visible lines and hit escape, you can see that now that view fits our criteria. So the next things I've got to do is I've got to put some dimensions on here. Just mimic the dimensions that you see on your page. So I go into my dimension layer. I don't have to worry about, oh crap, what layer is this in? If you come down here, you can change the layer, scale. We don't have to worry about scale when we do this. If I come down here and single click on this main home view, you can see that I've got that little downward arrow with the bar on it. If I pick that, it shows me the different scales and it shows me what scale that one was printed at. Now you will see that that is not a viable scale for us. Do not put that in your title block. We do not use ratios. We use the scales down at the bottom, the architectural scales. I've had a few ratios show up in title blocks this semester. That's not this kind of a drafting class. we're gonna go with straight architectural scales. Those ratios are rarely used, very specific industries, and it's very easy to learn. You just click that versus the other. In here, we're gonna stick with the architectural scales, which is what most of you will be using in industry after you graduate. So 1 to 2 is 6 inches equals a foot. If I come down here and select 6 inches equals a foot, you see that my drawing did not change visually. So 6 inches equals a foot is the scale that I would need to put in my title block down here. So when I double click on my title block, I can go ahead and go into my scale box right here before I forget. 6 inch equals 1 foot dash 0 inches. And I'm gonna pick OK, and I'll get back to the rest of that in a little while. So we can see that scale on any of our views. When I click on it on one of these alternate views, up here at the top, you'll see that it says from parent. That means that it's from the parent view. This is what's driving that scale. Your home view is your parent view. If I come over here and say, well, I don't like that 6 inches equals a foot, I've got something else I need to show on this page. I want to make this view smaller. I can come up here on that parent view and select 3 inches equals a foot, and you'll see that everything changed. If I hit escape and say, well, this is an isometric, I want to make this bigger so they can see it, I can still come up and individually change these scales. So you can see at the top it says from parent. I can still say, well, let me go with 6 inches equals a foot on this ISO so I can blow that up so they can see it good. I can still go through and manually change that. Or I can set it to back to by parent, and then whatever I do on that main view over there is what scale will drive it. So we said that 6 inches equals a foot is our best scale. Now to dimension it, I've gone into my dimension layer. I'm gonna zoom in on this view. I go into my annotate tab. I've got my 3D on, my linear dimension. So on my drawing, it shows a dimension from here to here. Didn't have to worry about scaling because there is no viewport. I've got some diameter dimensions to show. Got a diameter of this shape right here. I need to pull that to the outside, don't forget to do that. I've got a diameter of this guy right here. I already got that. This one right here. Now there is technically a mistake on this, but we're okay with it in this situation. Before I tell y'all what it is, does anybody see anything with the dimensioning on this object? Anything incorrect? I'm gonna go ahead and put this other dimension on there and y'all can look at it and see if y'all see it. But like I said, we're okay with it in this scenario, but need to add the typical of this. Does anybody see what the incorrect dimension is other than the lowercase letters out there? The incorrect measurement on this, or the incorrect information on this, is that right around in this area, on this outside ring of that small circle right there, they call that out as 2-inch diameter. Does everybody see that? Mm-hmm. Technically, that is an arc, not a circle. An arc is dimensioned with a radius. The reason we're okay with it on this is because it was represented and drawn with a diameter shape. There is a full diameter, it just goes up inside that other one right there. So technically we're okay with that being shown as a diameter dimension, but normally with that being an arc, it would have been defined with a radius, not a diameter. All right, so on those dimensions, you don't have to put all the typicals. Definitely do not put all that 0.5 inch thick stuff, okay? That applies for you to be able to draw it. This is the dimensioning information, and then we're gonna come down in this view because we have to show dimensions in every view. I'm gonna come down here in this view, and I'm gonna show that thickness dimension down here. So that piece is that bit thick, this piece is this thick. See that little yellow box right there? The reason that popped up, let me do that dimension again. Whenever I come over here into my dim linear command and AutoCAD says pick a point, if I come down here and I pick an end point or some physical point on that 3D shape, AutoCAD's okay with that. If I come over here and pick that node, See that little tooltip that popped up that says node? That means it is reading that dimension, not the 3D object. AutoCAD is going to give you that error. That dimension is not incorrect, but what AutoCAD wants you to do is force that dimension on that object if you have to. So because there's another object snap point there, if I go through and force AutoCAD to say that endpoint of that object, AutoCAD is okay with that. The reason that matters is if I go over there in my model space and I change that object, as long as it's linked to that object and not just that dimension, it's going to change with it if necessary. AutoCAD wants you to do that because that's how it should be. So it doesn't matter, it doesn't mean that your part is incorrect when you see that little yellow thing pop up. It just means it's a flag of AutoCAD telling you, hey, just to let you know, you didn't link that to that object, you linked it to that dimension right there. So you might accidentally change that measurement or that distance, and that measurement right there not change. That's what AutoCAD is telling you. So now the only thing we've got left is to label our views. So I'm going to come back over here, go to my text command. Go into my single line text. This is view labels, so I want it to be 5/32 text. 0 angle, this is my top view. So I can copy that and edit it if I want to, or I can type new. We do not have a north arrow on this, therefore we do not have a plan view and elevation views. So that looks like all the measurements and everything needed to be shown on that one. Any questions about it before I go any further? Alright, so that is going to be that one, how you would do it. And I'm not going to go through the full dimensioning on the other one, but this other one, I'm going to show y'all one more time how we would go about doing that. So I'm on my, oh, that's that other one, my bad. Let me open up my P19A again. So on this part, same process, go to the border and title block you want, erase your viewport, go through to the base command from model space, front view where you want it, hit enter or space bar, top view, isometric view. You can see that when I move this over, that other view, that top view automatically moves also, because remember they have to stay aligned. I can move it up or down and not affect that one. But if I move it left or right on that view, my parent view, it changes that one. Then we come up here, edit view, hidden lines, visible lines, hit escape, and then go through with our dimensioning and title block change. That's it. Questions?
Doing that isn't due next week, but the week after, right?
No, this isn't due at all.
Oh.
Like I said, this is just showing y'all. This is just showing y'all. Your next project, you will be doing this process.
Cool.
So when I show you next time, that'll be the second time you get to see it. This is just in case you want to try it and practice it, because this is the final stage of the 3D part being created, drawn, possibly assembled, but sent for fabrication. All right, if no more questions, that's it. Have a good weekend. Right on.